When you think about the story going forward, it's going to be at full self-driving penetration, autonomous. So look, I think over the next 4 to 5 years, there will be a point where Sweeney is getting into a cybercab, no driver, taking him to play golf. That will happen in the next 4 to 5 years. But that's our view. And again, the whole issue is that between the Musk-Trump romance, the reason it's so important for the stock is because now regulation in this country is going to rapidly change in terms of autonomous. And that, we believe, $1 trillion alone for Tesla's valuation just based on autonomous. But I view it similar to, like, as Keen's talked about for a decade. It's like with Apple, but originally, and Gene's talked about it as well, you just looked at Apple as a hardware player, smartphone.
Yep.
But what's been the key of the valuation, why it's going to be the first one in the $4 trillion mark club? It's because of services. So when you think about Tesla, I would compare autonomous, the software, FSD, to Apple services relative to that Cupertino story. That's why it's so important. 7 million vehicles out there. You'll have 10 million vehicles over the next year or two. And
when you consider the future of the tail, it will be completely autonomous and self-driving. Look, I believe that Sweeney will eventually be riding in a driverless cyber cab to play golf throughout the next 4 to 5 years. In the next 4 to 5 years, it will occur, but that's our. And once more, the reason the Musk-Trump romance is so significant for the company is that based only on autonomy, we estimate that Tesla's valuation is about $1 trillion. This is because the country's regulations are about to change quickly. However, I see it similarly. As Keen has discussed for 10 years, it's akin to Apple. Initially, as Gene mentioned, you just saw Apple as a manufacturer of smartphones and other hardware. However, services are what have been crucial to the company's worth, and the reason it will be the first to reach the $4 trillion market cap. In light of the Cupertino scenario, I would therefore contrast Apple services with autonomy, software, and FSD when considering Tesla. That's the reason it's so crucial. Over the next year or two, there will be 10 million automobiles, up from the current 7 million. Additionally, there is a $200,000 automobile on WEO, which is a Google Play. I would say that if you look at the previous administrations, he virtually iced out after placing a wager with Trump that will be remembered for years to come. There will be significant changes within the Beltway, and you will see the Biden administration really doubling down, particularly on EES. And Musk is the one who knocks on the door. This is only the start. Since we are witnessing the fourth industrial revolution, I believe that this will eventually be another 2 to 3 bull markets for technology. And the multiplier and big tech will be involved. And I believe this is the AI party that started at 9 p.m. and ends at 4 o'clock a.m. is just at 10 p.m. And look, we predict that tech stocks will rise by another 25% in the upcoming year. And as we approach the conclusion of next year and the beginning of 2026, I believe that we will begin discussing NASDAQ at 25,000 per year. The strongest will, in my opinion, get stronger, and Musk and Tesla stand to gain the most from this. We believe that, given the autonomous vision and deregulation in the Beltway, we may be looking at a $2 trillion market valuation for Tesla by the end of 2025. There is more to Tesla's remarkable success than merely watching from the sidelines. With the most recent information on Tesla, stock price targets, innovation, and all things Elon Musk, Seeking Alpha is the one-stop shop for Tesla bulls and those with an eye for finding the next big thing in the stock market. Our channel may receive a commission if a customer makes a purchase after clicking on the affiliate links in the description. It's been an amazing year for technology, and I believe it's only getting started. Yes, pull out the popcorn. Look, that works well in the short run, doesn't it? Additionally, it's part of the reason GM is up, so I believe you'll notice a respite in the stock. The street now wants to see the discipline because there are more of these things occurring. Having said that, it's not good if you look at it in the long run. I mean, autonomy is the future, which is why Mary Paul and the team were so focused on Cruise. In the end, there will only be one option for them to pursue autonomy, calling Musk on the phone, correct? Regarding, an agreement of some kind with Tesla. Therefore, I believe it will be good in the short run, but building an autonomous vehicle is much more difficult than it first appears. Look, I believe that this is likely the beginning of the end for Cruise, regardless of how they stated it in the press release. They will have that technology in one way or another, but I believe this is their way of raising the white flag, as you can see from the street. Look at what's happening with GM, and you have tax credits that will be taken away once Trump takes office. As a result, hybrids will be subject to increasing levels of discipline. You might be reversing the EV approach. It's obvious that we've witnessed what transpired there, Cruise. Thus, you're witnessing an increasing amount of discipline. Once more, excellent for the stock, but in the long run, it really comes down to the growth ambitions, which are still in flux. Autonomous technology is far safer, isn't that right? In my opinion, 10 to 15% of ride-sharing services, such as Cybercab and others, may not have a driver by the end of the decade when autonomous technology is developed. As a result, you won't have someone attempting to text while driving you somewhere or actually speaking on the phone. In actuality, autonomy is the way of the future, and I believe that it. Discipline. Once more, excellent for the stock, but in the long run, it really comes down to the growth ambitions, which are still in flux. Autonomous technology is far safer, isn't that right? In my opinion, 10 to 15% of ride-sharing services, such as Cybercab and others, may not have a driver by the end of the decade when autonomous technology is developed. As a result, you won't have someone attempting to text while driving you somewhere or actually speaking on the phone. In actuality, autonomy will become more prevalent. We discussed this with Tesla, which is one of the main reasons why the autonomous future will be important. I believe Tesla still does, which is why the stock has increased so much since Trump entered the picture, because it alters the entire regulatory landscape. AI is visible to the bears in the spreadsheets, correct? They missed out on every transformational tech name over the past 20 years because they are hibernating in those caves. The same will apply to Tesla. It will not be valued on conventional EVs, and it is no longer a vehicle firm. It has to do with the independent future. We believe that autonomy alone is worth $1 trillion. Let's start by discussing complete self-driving, specifically FSD. Put autonomy aside for a moment. Assuming that FSD penetration increases from 15% to 50 to 60%, there are 7 million automobiles. How are the margins affected by that? One could argue that, from a Tesla standpoint, earnings will quadruple over the next few years. Due to the software component and the attach rate, FSD is essential. And I won't compare it to, say, Apple receiving no credit for services for many years. Isn't that how you go from 1 to over $4 trillion? I mean, a significant portion of the value has been services. Not so with Tesla. The attach rate and technology are key factors in FSD autonomy. After that, you begin to consider autonomy. I mean, do they intend to OEM some of that technology? I see cybercabs as a temporal thing. Do matters. What's going on with GM, and how will they become self-sufficient? They are using OEM as leverage. The autonomous future is crucial for Tesla's stock, but it all stems from the bear's inability to give AWS credit for Amazon. Look now. Never acknowledged Apple's services. Look now. Never acknowledged Microsoft's OM Cloud or AWS's Azure. Look at NVIDIA, Dell, and Mount Rushmore now. Why are you spending money on AI in 2022? They were debating. You ought to invest in gaming. Look now. In the end, even when the bears are dressed in fleece and sleeves, they don't perceive AI in the spreadsheet, right? The idea is that despite their seeming intelligence, bulls make money. In my opinion, Musk will be a strong supporter of keeping the AA party up until 4 o'clock a.m. in 2025, even though it ends at 10 p.m., because doing so eventually levels the playing field. They do not receive the tax credits, and in the end, the big three do not receive those benefits, as you can see from Detroit. Who else has the potential for scale and scope profitability? Musk. Tesla. Therefore, I could say it's bullish for Tesla and bad for the EV industry. Because of this, Musk and Trump's current bromance will have a big impact that will be good for Tesla. And Musk's wager on Trump remains the wager of the ages. However, I believe that the FTC is the main problem since KH has been a nightmare for big tech. The FTC's departure, which we think will be the next move in January, is encouraging for the tech industry. I believe that Trump's missteps will be a major factor, but I don't see how this will all alter. To put it another way, I believe autonomy will advance considerably more quickly. The AI component will be expedited. At least in California and Texas, it will be fully implemented across all Tesla models in the upcoming year. And I believe that's the reason I'm not speaking.